So yesterday, MKBHD, Marcus Brownlee, tweeted this. Now his tweet is asking us to build a budget smartphone with $17 following a certain slew or a certain number of parameters. He then consequently makes a video, which this kind of is my reaction to the video, and he explains why he went ahead to do this or what triggered this line of thought and everything. To spend a lot of time writing it out, I actually took paper and I wrote a bunch of stuff. And yeah, so the first thing you need to understand with this game, he called it a game, is that you are coming at this as an OEM. You're not coming at this as a consumer who is just making a one-off device. You need to understand that in this hypothetical situation, you are a smartphone manufacturer and you are making this phone to sell. So some of the parameters are display, specs, camera, battery, hardware/design, software, and marketing. So this is my response. This is my response to, or at least this is my answer that I gave. And because there weren't a lot of rules, I'm going to explain why I did certain things, and it could be seen as finding loopholes or anything, but I hope my explanation makes sense. So let me begin. First off, you are trying to sell this smartphone. It is not for just you. It is something you're trying to sell. Now, sorry about the sound. There's some construction going on upstairs. I'm using my smartphone to shoot because I can't go to the studio. So yeah, bear with that. But moving on. You're trying to sell the smartphone. This is not a one-off thing you're putting in your pocket. You're not the consumer here. You are the OEM. So first things first, I am putting $5 into marketing because we have seen the power of marketing. And with high-end, very capable marketing, you can effectively sell almost anything. Now, if you are wondering how realistic this is, I will put the link to I'll put a link in the description to a video by I think Comedy Central called, I don't know the title, but it was about a product called Vave. You guys really need to check it out to see the power of marketing. Marketing is a super powerful tool, and that is why I'm putting $5 into marketing. The other thing I'm putting $5 into is software. Some people may say that why am I putting so much money into software, but it's software that runs the phone. And I'll come back to explaining why I gave $5 to software. But yeah, those are the only two things that I gave a full-fledged $5 to. So let's go back to the beginning. Display, I gave $1. What is a poor display in this age? 60 Hertz, 1080p LCD. I mean, the iPhone XR effectively had this. And we've seen quite a number of phones have this, so it isn't terrible. My honest opinion about these high refresh rate screens and all of that is that it's we the smartphone enthusiasts that are clamoring for these kind of specs. I feel like generally the average person doesn't really care about, they don't even know what the high refresh rate. I mean, they would experience it, they will see it and get to understand it, but off the bat, if you tell them that, oh, this phone screen has a high refresh rate, it requires some level of explanation and use case experience for them to get it. That doesn't really work. So $1 on display. Next thing was specs. So I'm guessing specs is basically performance, the processor, the RAM, and all of that. This I gave $1. Yeah, bear with me. I gave this $1 simply because that the iPhone has shown that the efficacy of your software can make seemingly poor specs better. Granted, the A-line Bionic chips, Apple's Bionic chips for its smartphones, A10, A11, A12, A13 are fantastic. I'm not going to deny that, but with a very good and capable software, you would effectively be able to fully utilize these weak specs and make them look good with a very lightweight software and a software that's highly optimized for the hardware. You could be able to pull off a very powerful device despite its seemingly lack of high-end specs. So maybe this may be seen as a loophole, but like I'm giving examples. Fine, the bionic chips, the A lineup of bionic chips for the iPhones are very, very, very high end and very, very capable. But we cannot deny the fact that the software is able to carry that across. So I feel like even with poor specs, if you have very, very good software, you can pull off a seemingly good phone. Next step is camera. I also gave camera $1. Why? Because recent times have come to show us that the camera unit in itself is not the basis of a good photo when you take the shots. Unlike in DSLRs and other things where some of these things matter, what we've come to understand with smartphone photography, thanks to the Pixel and then the iPhone, is that post-processing is where the juice is. Post-processing is where the magic happens. So Apple has been using a 12 megapixel sensor for yonks now, and I think Google also used a 12 megapixel sensor for a while now, but the images are super, super, super good. That goes to show that the camera module in itself has to be fairly good. It can be okay, but if the software is able to take it to the next level, you can have some level of post-processing that could knock everything out of the park. So I gave the camera module $1 because software is what is responsible for all this post-processing. I mean, if we are talking about $5, or I mean, in this case, in my honest opinion, a $1 camera module would be something with a 12 megapixel sensor, and then the midway with a $3 one would be something with a 64 megapixel sensor, and then finally on the high end, the $5 one would be something with a 108 megapixel sensor. Now we've seen that the 108 megapixel isn't really pulling its weight, and I personally attribute that to software. So this is the reason why I gave software $5, because software can cover up some of the other deficiencies across board. Next, battery, $3. The average person does not want to have their phone on them and it will run out of power. Nobody enjoys charging their phone multiple times in a day. So a phone with an average battery life, that is about 4 hours of screen on time, is fair, it's great, it should be able to last through the entire day. And granted, considering the fact that the specs on this are low, they wouldn't be pulling that much power. The display is poor, it won't be draining a lot of battery power. So $3 I feel works for that. I have $1 left. And the last thing is hardware or design. Now, personally, I'm very, very picky about smartphones. Design is a very important part for me because the smartphone needs to look good. But I also thought about this. I'm an OEM, I'm trying to make money here, and this is the limit. I only have $1. So what do I do? I mean, how do I rationalize this? So I was thinking that the iPhone SE 2 has a very backward design, and Apple has kind of gotten away with holding on to designs whilst other OEMs keep updating designs all the time. So that means that depending on your marketing, design may not matter. So these are my reasons, and I hope you understand my reasons. I hope I didn't cheat too much. So I hope to catch you guys in the next one. I don't know where the next one is going to be, but I hope to shoot more videos depending on how well this one goes, because shooting this was fairly simple. Now going to edit and see how it works, rolling it out, and if this works very well, yeah, I'll probably do this maybe every day. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay safe, don't forget to wash your hands, and yeah, find something to do with your time. Crazy times.